and I saw an extremely bright light that was shining down on the Niagara River. That's all I could get at that time because of the distance that it was away from us. And as it slowly approached us, it was rising actually from the water. And as it approached us, the light went from shining down on the water to directly at us. And then as it rose, the light kind of dissipated in a sense, but I could still see the craft. I could still clearly make out that there were 3 white lights, 2 on the tail, 1 on the tip. I couldn't really see the one yet underneath. And then as it was slowly approaching us, I looked at my security officer and I said to him, if this keeps on the same path, it's going to fly right over us, right over top of the side street, which was Livingston. And it's a very quiet side street on the side of the hotel. And he was frozen. He would not move. And I said, I'm going. And I ran to the side of the street, and I actually stood in the middle of the road and waited for it, basically. And it didn't take long for it to get to me, and it was rising the whole time because obviously it must have had to clear the hotel in a sense. And I would say it was 150 feet or so above the hotel, and it was extremely slow moving, and I mean slow. I wish I could describe to you, like show you, like as I stood there, how my head just kind of cocked backwards and watched it come directly over top of me. It was a black triangle. It was very large. I wouldn't say that it was like as big as a football field, as some people tend to say some of these objects are. I wouldn't say it was that big, but it was big. How big, I'm not 100% sure. I'd say maybe half of a football field. Black, so again, the 3 white lights, 2 on the back, 1 on the tip, and underneath had a red light that pulsed. And the only thing I could attribute it to was that of like a heartbeat, like bump, 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 about that fast. It did not make any noise whatsoever. There was no traffic noise. It almost seemed like time stood still in a sense as I watched this thing go over my head as I was standing directly in the middle of the road. And it went over top of me. I turned and I watched it as it just completely went from east to west, and it slowly went over the township that was behind our hotel and kept on rising until I couldn't see it anymore. As I ran back to the front entrance to talk to my security officer, the very first thing out of his mouth was, and I was excited to have witnessed something like this, the first thing he said was, I cannot believe what I just saw. I will never speak of this moment again. This didn't happen. And he just walked away, and he literally never spoke of it again. One of my bellmen approached me, and he said, and he kind of had a weird look on his face, and he said to me, "Can we go in your office and talk?" This is really hard for me to say. He said, but there's a couple of really strange-looking men that were here, and they kind of freaked everybody out, and they were asking questions about you. He goes, I don't know how to describe them except for extremely odd-looking. They were really tall, like 6'5" at least. He said, and they were identical height. They were the exact same height. They were wearing the exact same clothes, and they had the exact same faces, like they were twins. They had extremely pale skin. And he said they came in, and they looked around a little bit, and they asked for you. And I said, I'm sorry, he's actually not working today. And it seemed like they didn't believe me, so they started to walk around the hotel, and shortly after they went to the tour desk, and he goes, I got busy. I started to have to bring cars around and get luggage, and by the time I came back, they were gone. But he goes, they freaked me out, and I really wanted to tell you that there were these weird guys in here looking for you. Then the next day, I came into work again, and I was talking with my tour desk, extremely sweet women, and one of them asked to talk to me. And I said, sure. And she came in my office, the same as my bellman, and she said, I heard that you heard that there were some men looking for you. And I said, yes. And she said, they asked a few questions about you, and they said strange things that I didn't understand. And they were talking about governments and conspiracies, and none of it made any sense to me. But she goes, were very, very scary. And I said, well, why were they scary? And she said, they had no facial hair, none. She said they had no eyebrows, no eyelashes, nothing. Their hair looked like they had a wig on, like it was attached to their hat, like it wasn't even real. And she said, and the scariest thing, she said, their eyes were so big and so blue that they almost hypnotized me a little bit. And she goes, and you're going to think I'm crazy when I tell you this, but I swear they knew what I was thinking. I swear. And I don't think I'm crazy, but I don't even know how they could do it, and I don't know why I'm even telling you this. She goes, so I started to think about things other than you, and I don't even know if it worked. And she started to cry, and she said one more thing before she left. She said, one more thing, these men, they didn't blink. Not once did I see them blink.
So I'd just like you to relate to me what you encountered the day the men in black came into your lobby, if you can tell me everything you can remember about that.
I have just a brief encounter with these two personalities, you know. I was at the door, and these two gentlemen came, and they asked, I don't remember much because it happened like a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. They asked for the manager, and I told them, well, he's not here. Do you want to talk to someone else? And they said, no, we just want to talk to him. And they just came inside, and I just basically, that was the end of the conversation with them.
Tell me what they looked like.
That was what really kept, you know, my attention. These guys were like really taller than probably the average people. They were just looking identical. They were just look alike. I just remember they were not old. They were not young either. Also, they looked to be white.
What was their skin tone like?
It was pale. That's what I say. You know, they had hats, and they were dressed all in black. It was a little bit shocking to see people dressed like that in that moment, and I was just focused basically because they were just looking like the men in black came looking for you, and that's when I started talking to him, and she was almost in tears. She started describing she had more time to talk to them. What I told them, and then how I described this, they were clones. They were just one exactly one to the other, like they were identical.